This is douglAR politics, yeah. Oh, douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics.
Good evening. Welcome to douglAR Politics. Happy Holy, also peaceful Lent to the Christian community. Shabi Barat to the Muslim community, nearly halfway there to Ramadan. And happy St. Patrick's Day to the Irish. And in sport, Tobago boy, all lucky boy, all get rid of the PNM and already things happening. Augustine wants Chief Secretary T10 to produce West Indies cricketers, investment in youth, in tournament, in cricket, big money opportunities for young cricketers to take care of their families for life. Well done, Farley Augustine. When you change government, elections have consequences. But when you see from one positive with the PDP in Tobago, look at what's going on in Trinidad. We've shown you across Trinidad grounds from Palo Seco, Clifton Hill, Guayakara, all the Point-a-Pair grounds, all the Petrotrin grounds, all across the board. We showed you in St. Joseph, Convent Girl, the worst MP in St. Joseph. Now look at some of the grounds. Urvashi, Tiwari, Rupnarayan went down to check out. Cricket supposed to start, run it, Archie.
I am in Sandy Grande. We are actually at the Kunaripo Recreational Ground. I'm here with my cameraman Ryan Bascom on official duty this morning. So we're here touring the northeast zone, basically to highlight the fact that these grounds have not been prepared for the upcoming cricket season. So this is the first ground that we are actually touring. And well, you can get an idea of what the situation is like. It's pretty overgrown. Tractor marks, there are puddles. A resident was complaining a short while ago, that children can't even access this recreational area here, and as you can see, I'm facing severe difficulties in just accessing the pavilion. Just put on my...
What we are seeing here is one of the 17 grounds in the Northeast Zone where we have 17 clubs. And that tells you that we have a minimum of 17 grounds.
And that is Kunaripo. Well, Archie, let me show them Lower Kamuto grounds. And these are some of the grounds that under Kamla Prasad Bisesa we refurbished. So this was probably done in 2012 or 2013 and was pristine and perfect. Look at what neglect under the PNM has done. Not only the aquatic center went green, not only the tennis center, they tendering out to fix up the courts. Look at every recreational space across Trinidad and Tobago, and then you all expect our young athletes to perform at a high level. Look at this. This was pristine 10 years ago, but under 6.5 years of PNM neglect, look at the dilapidated state. They're unable to maintain, unable to plan. That's why they're asking now. They now tender out for a sport tourism master plan 6.5 years into government. Unilever stop manufacturing in Trinidad and Tobago from July. Unilever Caribbean Limited will stop all manufacturing and production operations in Trinidad at the end of July, which will result in 119 workers being placed on the breadline. That is what PNM does. The entire business world, everyone is running from Trinidad and Tobago because of the nonsense, the lack of incentive, the lack of understanding, the lack of a business climate here. There are greener pastures outside, and that's why under the PNM for the last 3 years, we have been in negative foreign direct investment. This is not funny. They just are not good. Would you go to a mechanic who just wasn't good? Would you do that? Now, Archie, put up the next one. 119 workers from Unilever leaving. Now look at the PNM. They love you, so they take good care of you. 573 to lose jobs at TSTT under the People's National Movement mismanagement of TSTT, from bad investments to save their financiers. How you going, Gervais Warner? You all right? Everything good, Mr. Harvard MBA? Everything good with you? Well, it's not good with 573 citizens, partly because of you. Hope you sleep well at night, Mr. Gervais, PNM Warner. And watch my face, watch the disgust, because I know how intelligent you are. But when someone with such high intellect utilizes it to suffer others, they can only be described as a waste of total time. And this on the heels of all the other attacks, OWTU, Port Authority, NUGFW, down the road, job losses across the board, over 123,000 people off the NIB rolls, over 200,000 people lost jobs since PNM Keith Rowley swore in. But look what he thinks, he don't care. Run it, Archie.
What I'm against is dwarfish labor leaders who are leading workers astray.
If you want to talk about who
Dotish labor leaders, Trinidad and Tobago, we cannot continue, really and truly. We cannot continue, we cannot go a day longer, a week longer, a month longer. This is madness. This man is destroying our country irreparably. But yet, my boy, where my boy? Next dancer.
Right foot,
yes, man.
balize. Left foot, balize. Everybody just do the balize.
Let my 573 workers do that now. Food off the table. Children going to suffer. People going to lose their mortgages, their cars. More people going down below the poverty line, the middle class, just being decimated. You have the brilliant billionaires, and then you will have poor people. Thanks to Keith Rowley. That reminds you of Venezuela? Does that remind you of Iran? Does that remind you of Equatorial Guinea? Tobago fisher folk warn. Brace for increase in fish price too, gas price, food price, rice price, wheat price, every price, now fish price under the PNM. Elections have consequences. Now, listen to this, gentlemen, and this is the point. This video shows you why we have to end the indoctrination on race in politics. Trinidad and Tobago, we are all one, bleeding red blood, red, white, and black. But over 60 years, the PNM especially has put into the minds of citizens that politics is about race, not about policy, not about performance, not about capability, not about intelligence, not about heart and soul, not about the redistribution of resources. But listen to this man. This man have it correct. Only listen, this is not no UNC. Just listen. Run it.
Pleasant good morning to my brothers and sisters. I want to make this clear. I have no party affiliation, right? Whoever goes into power, I support once they put in the people first and the country first, right? Under the UNC with Kamala, I can remember the children get laptops. I couldn't afford a laptop back then. Thank God, right? We get back pay, we get raise our salary, right? But when they look at the woman, one little fault, and call her drunken for 7 years, right? But now PNM come in power under Dr. Keith Rowley, right? The first thing you do, you take with the laptops, no back pay, no raise our pay, right? He call all the jackass, he call all the dotish, he call all the stupid. They clap and all they sing and all they hooray. Now, everything turn around, and I want to see if all the PNM supporters go call this man a liar, liar, liar for the next 7 years. All they have a good day.
And just to remind you of the total incompetence that we've been under for the last 6.5 years. Terence Dial Singh, the convent girl, a man who did not have the wherewithal, the intellect, the ability to study, to understand information, and to become a doctor. He could not pass a pharmacological exam, but yet Keith Christopher Rowley found him in the dustpan of intelligence, the dustbin of intelligence, and put him in charge of the health system. And now we are approaching 3,700 citizens dead of COVID-19. and he still talks with arrogance. 5 more died yesterday. And then comes Avery Hines. Dr. Hines, you never answer. Were you the recipient of a Joan Yule Williams Scholarship Fund, like that lady, Senator Laurel Luzama Lee Singh, who get $500,000 and was not even bright enough to graduate, but tries to speak with arrogance on a platform? Lady, y'all have no shame. $500,000, you couldn't pass your exam? Hines, post-carnival COVID spike was recorded, but not significant enough to burden the country. Oh, that's miraculous. So why was the entire country on lockdown, shutdown, state of emergency, and brought down to damage the economy for life, to shut down 44% of businesses, to put 200,000 people out of jobs, to create a situation that the economy has shrunk, that the PNM dipped into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund and is emptying it? Last year alone, they dipped 8 times for 1.8 billion US. Then why we went through all of that? Because look, parlance, madness, no regulation, woman whining on man all over the place, together, spitting, dribbling, drinking rum, sharing drink, and no spike? Oh my goodness. Guyana president, no increase in water and electricity rates for consumers. Let me repeat that. Guyana president, Dr. Irfan Ali, says, no increase in water and electricity rates for consumers. But in Trinidad and Tobago, everything going up, and they're coming to fire people at WASA, increase your rates, electricity rates going up, and we don't even get water. But that's what happens. Remember, Dr. Lovell Francis said the UNC had lost, but then the UNC in Guyana really won after the PNM of Guyana tried to steal the election, gerrymander, and change scripted and noted voter counts in marginal areas. Remember that, Lovell Francis, that PNM talking about UNC in Guyana? Well, the PNM lost in Guyana, and now Guyana will remain with their electricity and water rates because there is no PNM in Guyana. Survivor Christopher Boudram needs funds. douglAR Politics, on behalf of the entire team, douglAR Politics, douglAR Report, Karina Bechan, Lisha Dore, Safraz Ali, Archie, Vishnu, everybody, Alan Karim, on behalf of myself, I am asking each and every one of you watching tonight to also share this part and find this GoFundMe page for Christopher Boudram and give him some support to cover his medical bills and his legal costs, please. We at douglAR Politics are contributing and will contribute to Christopher Boudram, the angel who came out of the depths of hell to tell us the truth. A campaign has been started to raise $700,000 for the legal and medical expenses of Christopher Boudram, the lone survivor in the Paria fuel diving tragedy. The campaign was started on Tuesday by a friend of the family, Michelle Ramkalawan Hossain, and has received 10 donations up to midday yesterday. This was on Thursday, so Wednesday, on the GoFundMe page. So go find the GoFundMe page, please. Even if you are outside, and you know how many of you are watching this douglAR Politics all over the world. Go to that GoFundMe page and support this brother, support this hero, support this man. What a great human being. He needs it. 700,000. Will you please give him that by next week? Let me say by Wednesday. Let me come and report. They cross that and they're good. Okay? We have to put our money where our mouth is. This, not only on behalf of Christopher, but on behalf of Faisal Kurban, Kazem Ali, Yusuf Henry, all of them, and Nagesa, Rishi Nagesa. Okay? Thank you. We humbly request. Put up a tailboat there for me, Archie. Let me see this bastion of a Rasta man, this black man, this man who criticizes people and talks about Indian like they're living in Lagoon and the UNC are racist. Look at this picture. I want all my black brothers and sisters to see this, that this man, this Ethelbert Hines, this black so-called Rasta, this Pomsite clown, saw it fit to stand and deliver a speech while a fire officer who serves a first responder of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago was to hold an umbrella over his black head. Massa, Pomsite, that is okay, Massa. Just the color of the Massa has changed. Massa good. Massa, we did good. Massa, you pleased with me? I held the umbrella well, Massa. Are you happy? I don't want the sun to beat down on your sweaty Pomsite dreadlocks, Massa. Massa, me do good. I could go to the big house tonight, Massa. I eat your scraps tonight. Talbot, disgusting, nasty, racist Hines. You really serious? What you had to say so much about some pickup all you buy that you couldn't take, son, with your black self? You make a black man, a young, strong black fire officer, hold a flipping umbrella for you to talk under your mama pool, you disgusting, nonsensical clown. Then you, ain't you say this? This was Fitzgerald at Talbot Hines. I saw an idiot little Rasta boy kissing the Prime Minister's palm. That made me sick. And if I had my way, I cut every dreadlock off his head. Every one, Madam Vice President. That idiot boy. What a rude little dreadlock, said Hines. You disgusting miscreant. You mentally challenged idiot. A young boy kissing the Prime Minister hand, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, a Prime Minister who showed him love and respect, whose policies showed him that he can get up to be anything he wants through laptops and textbooks, through NESC and MIC, through increased funding for culture and sport, opportunities across the board. And that's what you say, you disgusting miscreant. Put back that picture back, the one you had, and then you come to talk and make a speech about pickup truck, and you cannot even stand up on your own, take your son by yourself. If somebody sent this gentleman, this officer, to hold an umbrella for you, you did not even have the wherewithal, the love, the brotherhood, the respect and camaraderie to say, officer, I do not require that. I will make my speech in the sun here on my own. I do not need you to be subservient. I do not need you to fan me. I do not need you to treat me like I am some slave master. You did not have the wherewithal to say that, you Oreo clown, you disrespectful Pomsite Rasta, Babylon all up in your dreadlocks, because you're up in Maraval, you plantation Pomsite. Run the next video, Archie.
First time in my life in the fire service, I've shut down with a fire truck. How many years I've worked here? What's the vehicle number? What's the condition of the vehicle? Ford shut down with this. Ford, a man who always taking pride in any vehicle that he drives. What's his vehicle? What's his vehicle?
But you at Talbot, with your dunce common entrance failing self, you who tell people in Lavanti, take the gun out of the house and throw it in the bush, but don't sell out them who are the gun. You at Talbot, that Patrick Manning will never give a sweater as a minister to. He put a man who shoot himself in his own leg as Minister of National Security above you at Talbot, because Patrick Manning knew that you were an idiot. You gone and buy pickup truck, people burning down all over the place. In the last 2 months, over 7 people die in fire. We saw people not being able to be saved. The youths in Beetham trying to force open a fire truck to get tools to lick down to get a child out, child burn. Fire truck couldn't even reach down in Penal, a old couple dead. And you going to buy pickup truck? Where they put in the holes? Where they putting the ladder? Where they putting the tools? What the fire service going to deliver letter like TT Post? You going to boast about purchasing pickup truck for fire when since 2016, 17, 18, when Small Pin was the Minister of National Security, the fire services, the chief fire officer was begging for fire tenders, saying that they only had 5 trucks to deal with the entire northwestern peninsula. But no, you going to buy pickup. But your clone, the Oreo, shuffle a pack, but yet dumb and dumber remain. Run it, Archie.
Not making any sense? Don't think that making any sense.
And Faris a la Rawi, a la Johnny Sukaran. Johnny Sukaran, you didn't change your name, Johnny Sukaran. When you used to be lineman before you married Miss Nahus, and you was lineman with your crew and them, and everybody giving you peacock, and used to rile up whenever you overtalk and they fed up of you, and they say, hey, Johnny Sukaran, cool yourself. When you was in presentation, a non-entity, a dunce, and no skill in sport whatsoever, and your name was Johnny Sukaran, that was you, or that wasn't you? You say you didn't change your name? Boy, that's amazing. But that is why you get destroyed in the Senate. You could take 20 years, try to be bright, come in a playing field with 16 plus 6, 22 versus 6, and still get mashed up like chili, baby boy. God didn't bless you with too much brain, boy. Don't try to fight it down. Put on more makeup, dye your beard, and hair some more, and go and clean the people them cesspit. Run it, Archie.
Senator, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Emotions running high with a lot of hair dye. Dominican Republic, the last time I checked...
Senator Roberts. We are not going down that road. I'm not going to repeat the phrase. There's no need to go down that road. Just continue the contribution and leave out what I usually refer to when I'm in the chairs, the extra seasoning. There's no need for it. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We don't have extra seasoning because we don't have $2 for condiments. But the Honorable Attorney General stated in his presentation that our people could look to opportunities in the Dominican Republic. The last time I checked in 2013, November, Caricom suspended the application for full membership of the Dominican Republic because of their treatment of Haitian migrants. So I would like the Attorney General or any minister who's coming after to please correct the record, because I don't see in this bill that any national of Trinidad and Tobago will be able to get any job in the Dominican Republic. And for an Attorney General to be discussing a bill on Caricom and not understand what is observer status as opposed to full status speaks for itself. Hold on. That man said to say they've got so many opportunities for our nationals to get jobs in the Dominican Republic. Caricom immigration bill, you know. Faris excited to get local government position. Faris excited to be demoted. Well, then we should celebrate when we get relegated from the Premiership. When all you get relegated and you're going down in Division 1 in the Premiership, all you should pop champagne. This man Faris say he excited to get demoted. Faris boy, good thing. Look at the picture. You dye your hair and your beard right on time to make the papers, boy. The dye looking thick. Faris demoted. What's again? Faris demoted, but Faris say he excited. Well, let me read this. Analysts say reshuffle was a major demotion for Faris, but Faris say he excited. So he excited about a demotion, or he get excited about a promotion. So even in demotion, Faris get it wrong. Let's read. Winford James says, the population will view Al-Rawi's shift to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development as a demotion. Winford James. You need two persons to form the government. One is the Prime Minister and the other is the AG. That is the man who advises the Prime Minister on matters of the law as it relates to governance. But Faris say he excited, he get promoted. Ghani admitted the removal of Al-Rawi is a shocking development, as it constitutes a substantial demotion in the cabinet. He said the removal of the AG in any government under the Constitution is a major event because the AG is a required office together with the Prime Minister under Section 75(2) of our Constitution. Next, Bishnu Raghunath said he agreed that Al-Rawi may have had some missteps during his tenure, which could also have led to his removal. It could also be a bit of damage control because clearly Al-Rawi would have been not functioning in step with the Prime Minister, claiming the Al-Rawi's reappointment was a big demotion, said Bishnu Raghunath. Let's hear what Mukesh Bastio has to say. Political scientist Mukesh Bastio said the significant development of note was the demotion of Al-Rawi from AG to that of local government. So Al-Rawi not even bright enough to know that he get demoted. Cabinet tic-tac-toe, says the Express. The Express says Al-Rawi's exuberant statement embracing his new portfolio brought an immediate halt to talk of his imminent resignation. Given his strength, Express, given what strength? Al-Rawi's strength? Express, all you're not shame. All you don't know that the people realize that you all like to perpetuate lies, untruths, and misrepresentation. What strengths Al-Rawi has? Please do an editorial and show me all the strengths and positives that Al-Rawi brought to any office. Al-Rawi can be expected to bring a completely different approach to local government than that of Kazim Hussein, who had hardly distinguished himself. So all you throw Kazim Hussein under the bus to promote Johnny Sukaran? Really, Express? You all can't show your bias in any form or fashion anymore? Yes, man, Johnny Sukaran. Show them how you go lift up them box drain. Show them how you go dig with spade. Show them how you go work the puya. Boy, work it and cut the grass, boy. Yes, man. He get promoted from AG to local government. So, the Express says, and this is the bipolar Express, right? They're just praising this shuffle and saying that Al-Rawi will do well to do great in local government. And then they say, no matter how it is spun, Al-Rawi's removal as Attorney General is a demotion that ends a controversial run. I thought he was strong. I thought he was doing well. How did the run become controversial? Express, you're just like Rowley. You're suffering from dementia. You don't know whether you went, you didn't go, you come. You say, yes, it was me, I went, I get rid of him, I was there. Then he come the next day to say, me, and say that. Rowley arguing it with himself. And Express, your editorial, the same editorial, arguing with itself too. The Express continued, if Al-Rawi, an elected MP, can perform much better here than he did in the office of the Attorney General, he would have turned coal into gold. Really? Well, first of all, Express, it is impossible to perform worse than Al-Rawi did in the office of the Attorney General. So, following that argument, any sort of performance will be an upgrade, because Al-Rawi was the bottom of the barrel, the worst Attorney General in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me remind you, Express, a bit of Johnny Sukaran, aka Faris Al-Rawi's track record. At one point, he lost 30 cases straight. Let me repeat, he lost 30 cases straight at one point. You know, you imagine if you lose 30 football game, 30 cricket game, 30 table tennis matches straight. He lost 35 out of 39 cases. More laws and legal notices have been overturned and rescinded or quashed by the High Court, Court of Appeal, by the courts of this land of Al-Rawi's writing and drafting than in any, if you have cumulative of all the attorneys general in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, Al-Rawi beat all of them when you add up all of their legal notices and laws that were overturned. Al-Rawi rent his own building as Attorney General, and you all are praising that. He outfitted his own building. He recused himself over 40 times from cabinet because of conflict of interest. This is great performance. Express. Man buy 3 Porsche in 6 years and sell one and forgot to transfer, and then the transfer came up and he said that a lady, he sent a letter with a girl to transfer it, which is not legal. You cannot do that. He signed an indemnity with a witness in a criminal probe. He breached his own health regulations on several occasions. His incestuous relationship with Kewal Singh, who's the attorney for a witness in a criminal probe. The DPP's office is wholly understaffed, underfunded, and incapacitated. He abused special majority principles in the parliament, especially in the procurement legislation and the TTRA, just to name 2 out of about 8 pieces of legislation that he trampled on the constitution, calling Surat. Go and dig up some Surat now. No pepper spray up to now for women to protect themselves. Express. Court lying on Kamla in parliament when he lie and say about Kamla family get rental and so on. Lie and had to apologize. An attorney general getting caught lying in the parliament. When did you all ever see that before in the history of Trinidad and Tobago? Withdraw a case against Malcolm Jones and was the laughing stock of the Privy Council. That is the attorney general that you are trying to promote as some bastion of strength. Express, you are sick. Express, you all have no shame. Withdraw case on Ken Julian from Bamboo Networks also. But don't worry, Express. There is one person who agrees with you. Faris, Mommy had to come to defend you. Oh Lord, Faris. Mama come and say, the mother of former Attorney General Faris Arawi does not believe her son's reassignment to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development is a demotion, but views it as an opportunity for him to serve in a different capacity. Faris, Mommy had to come and defend a little baby. But that's all right. Mama's supposed to do that. When I was 7 and I got thrown out and ejected from the choir because my voice is so ridiculous that it cannot even sing piece of a note by a note of a note, I get pelt out with my harsh voice. My mama picked me up and took me for ice cream, and my mommy said, Anil, my baby boy, don't worry, mama love your voice. Sing for your mama. You could real sing, boy. That's what my mama said for me. I guess, Faris, your mama love you the same way too. So it's okay. Mama love you. Mama Popo, you did so good, eh? So, but Faris, you let me down, man. Your mommy come to blame the UNC for your failure. Mommy come to say that opposition, they humbug my poor little baby and stop him from bringing laws to help the country. Kamla, that naughty Kamla, would not support. And my baby boy got frustrated. Faris, you got frustrated and cried to mama. Oh gosh, mama die a bed for you, Faris. You went and complained on Auntie Kamla to your mommy. Oh, Faris, my boy. Oh, Lord. So you are a failure because Kamla brighter than you? Oh, gosh. Give Mama Popo. To go by Mama, let her rub your head. Put your head down and she lap. Okay, Faris, boy? Oh, but she name is Sukaran. Johnny Sukaran. So, Faris, you blame Kamla? Archie, run it, boy.
Blame. The sea bridge collapsed. What did you do? Blame Kamla. You shut down the petroleum refinery? Blame Kamla. You ready HSF to pay Faris rent? Blame Kamla. Your best friend got caught selling oil? Blame Kamla. Your minister's daughter got caught in a drug. Blame Kamla. God, why you don't leave my name alone? Why you have to call my name every time? I feel I have a serious tamanka, you know. If he doesn't call my name, I don't think he'll feel happy for the day or the night.
So Faris, Auntie Kamla make you fail and lose all your cases, and make all your laws get overturned by all the judges who say you're not very bright and you cannot draft laws and your legal notices are woeful. Oh, it was anti-Kamala. Oh, Lord Faris. Well, Faris, remember it was you who said, if you come in big man fight and you get 2 slap, don't cry, Johnny Sukaran. Don't cry. Run it, Archie.
We are no strangers to being marked hard. Madam Speaker, it causes us little concern who have crush on who had a call in name whole day and whole night. But when you stand up in a big man name and you want to put big man cuff, don't cry like a little girl when you get 2 slap. That's the advice that we will give certain members in this House, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker,
Attorney General. Attorney General. Please.
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings tonight. I will rephrase. There are some soft personalities around and I don't want to be too pejorative. It's nice to flex every now and then and to put a little hard lash. So, Madam Speaker, of course, Madam Speaker.
And the other thing I stand on, I've noticed a tendency to speak of girls in a particular way. Maybe you haven't realized it, and men in a particular way, and I think we need to watch that in 2020.
Even the speaker to bring you up, Faris, you don't respect women. Oh, Fari, they have some soft personalities. Oh gosh, you were so strong for about 22 minutes. I will resign. I'm not taking that. Oh God, no. All you do me. I'm so excited. I'm happy to be privileged to be the Minister of Local Government. It is a great promotion and I'm excited at this new challenge. Forrest. Johnny Sukaran, hey, your mama pool and you're playing bad man, boy, go and check the market down in Separia, boy. It has some curtains need sweeping. Walk with your cookie broom, you know. But Miss Sukaran, and I have a lot of respect for you, don't mind your son is a mama pool. Diane Sukaran, you said, and I quote, that this race and divisiveness is unpalatable. But who brought race and who has divided this country, Miss Sukaran? Was it so divided when Patrick Manning was Prime Minister? Was it so divided when Bastio Pandey was Prime Minister? Was it divided when Kamla Prasad Bisesa was Prime Minister? Or were policies made across the board for everyone to benefit? When exactly did this division really get exacerbated, Ms. Diane Sukaran? Isn't it under the current Prime Minister, Keith Christopher Divisive Rowley? I see you are against racial divide and so on, but I only see you come out to defend your little baby boy when he got demoted, to say Mama still love him, and I respect that. A mama's supposed to love children no matter what. No matter how dotish they are, you have to love your child. No matter how insensitive he is, you have to love your child. No matter how much a failure, you have to love your child and support your child. No matter how much he died, he buried and changed his name, you have to love your child. So I have no problem with you with that. But when you talk about the UNC and talking about race and division, when your son is in the cabinet of the most divisive racist prime minister in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, I didn't hear you speak up, ma'am, when Rowley did his racist, divisive history rewriting Indian Arrival Day message to try to equate and equivocate between slavery and indenture, and saying that the indentured people made a choice and signed contract to come here. I didn't hear you analyze that and say that that was the most disgusting, divisive statement of a prime minister, Ms. Diane Sukaran. And you're very intelligent. You may have read it, and I know you read it and it perturbed you, but you kept silent. So don't talk about division now. When the open pyre cremation policy with no science kept the Hindu faith and faithful, thousands and thousands of people were unable to say goodbye to their loved ones properly. for no scientific reason or no basis, just a racist, divisive policy. I didn't hear you, Miss Diane Sukaran. So you defend your son, that's your right. But leave the UNC alone, because if you don't have facts, you're sitting in a glass house under a tube of dye, and when the glass break, the dye will cover you, my dear. What about the rivers that were closed and shut down when East Indian people are the ones who utilize rivers in the most part? And up to the end, Rowley kept deciding that no alcohol, no food, no cooking, no fires. You didn't speak up about that while other places were open, aqua parks, and then the beaches were open and so on. That's a racist, divisive policy. What about the national awards recently? On one day, 22 Afro-Trinbagonians got awards. And only Prime Minister African so-called Oreo Keith Rowley and his Tea Party lady that he was able to whisper in her ear and make her breach the Constitution, Section 123(4). Two of them were there. Kamala Persad Bisesa, the leader of the opposition, was not invited. 22 Afro-Trinbagonians got awards on that night and 5 Indo-Trinbagonians. Is that correct? Is that right? I didn't hear you speak up. I didn't hear you complain. When there's geographical discrimination and Dr. Alan Sami has to shut down the entire corporation because you're not even getting diesel down in Penal Bay. I didn't hear you. You're a southern gal, you're a southern lass, a southern lady, a southern MP. I didn't hear you speak up and tell the government stop the geographical discrimination. When Rowley swears in a 23-member cabinet and your son swear in before Rowley, and then had to swear in again after him, and not one Hindu in the cabinet, I didn't hear you speak up about racial divide and so on, Ms. Sukaran. So defend your failure of a son, that's your right, but leave the UNC alone, okay, ma'am? God bless. And as we talk about that, congratulations to this President Medal winners, scholarship winners. Again, the trend continues that began in the late 90s and accelerated across every aspect of education in Trinidad and Tobago. That the East Indian community, the Hindu community, the Muslim community, the East Indian sections and children and families and cultures lent themselves to academic success. Whereas before, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, that success was for the Afro-Trinbagonians, as the East Indians were way behind, and the indentured fathers and mothers and grandfathers were functionally illiterate. But under Dr. Williams and the PNM, the tides changed as the Afro-Trinbagonian community moved from scholars and dominating all professional levels to also RANs. Why was that? Because of the policy of the PNM. The douglAR could talk it because it is true. And if you don't accept it and understand it, you won't solve it. You won't create the balance that is necessary. You won't understand the problems and create solutions to uplift our young Afro-Trinbagonians up to the level of the Indo-Trinbagonian brothers and sisters. You must not be jealous of good success. You must be able to respect it, take note of why it's occurring, and implement it in other areas that are not performing at the highest level. That's how you solve problems. You do not solve problems by dropping the number of scholarships from 500 down to 100 to try and reduce the numbers across the board to make it look better. And a cursory look at these things show that 80% of the scholarships went to East Indian children of Trinidad and Tobago. And I congratulate them, and I congratulate all the schools. Lakshmi Girls Hindu School, St. Augustine Girls, Naparima Girls and Boys, going down. Even Fatima, we did well. But to the PNM government, who likes to divide on race, race is not an issue. Lack of resources, lack of policies, lack of intelligence of the cabinet leading a group of people to fall behind and then try to put a plaster and a band-aid over it will not work. There is a lot of work that needs to be done for our young Afro-Trinbagonian girls and boys to jump up to get back up, to battle and compete on an even keel with the East Indian brothers and sisters. Do not fight down success, emulate success. Learn what made that successful. See why the Mahasabha schools doing well. See why the Asja schools doing well. See why the East Indians families and education and studies and so on, why they doing well. And find out what made Afro-Trinbagonian families and young people back in the 50s, 60s and 70s scholars, and then address it through policy from the cabinet. Not to recuse yourself to make money, to get your wife building, to outfit your own building, to rent your own building. The PNM is a total disgrace. But I must say, this is what could happen. This is what should be. I should not be able to just say one youth man here. Rio Claro West student wins scholarship, first scholarship in Cape Modern Studies. Well done, my black young brother. Well done. Brilliant. Akeem DeCane, absolutely brilliant. From Rio Claro, from the countryside without resources. Congratulations to his family, to all of those, his teachers, all of those who put the work in with him. To the PNM, bundle, stop studying to go by the hairdresser. Go and find this boy and his family. Go and interview them. See what they did, how they did it, what effort they did, how much study he did. Did he play sports also? How they kept him disciplined, how much work he did. Talk to the teachers, the principals, so that could go across the board into all areas that are not performing as good as others. Don't need to play games, but well done to that young man, Akeem DeCane. And that's what is possible. Well, boy, Archie, oh Lord, Archie, I feel you got to bring a water for me, because we're going to deal with WASA and water. And when I tell you all, for those of you who did not see the Joint Select Committee on Wednesday with myself and Member of Parliament for Princess Tong, the Honorable Barry Padarat, when we were interviewing and asking questions on behalf. Troy there, man, Archie, don't frighten. We just play cricket around here. You understand? Yes, and we'll run that. Archie say he'll run the whole thing after the show. But let me tell you something. When you see these people, and this is on the backdrop of Keith Christopher Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and his Minister of Public Utilities, who he said he found, because he had no understanding whatsoever about WASA and water, to make him the Minister of WASA and water. Keith Rowley came to the population and lied through his teeth to try and tell you that the reason WASA is in a mess, the reason you can't get water, the reason you suffering is Kamla. Run the first part, Archie. Go.
Good afternoon, members again. At present, the amount of water that goes to the domestic grid from the desal plant is 25 million gallons. Right? In 2002, the plant started producing 24 million gallons, which 19 was to the industrial grid and 5 million gallons was to the domestic grid. In 2014, it was renegotiated, where the plant increased production from 24 million to 40 million gallons. And since then, we have produced 25 million gallons into the domestic grid.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Keith Christopher Rowley came out last week and said WASA is bankrupt because of the UNC. Bastio Pandey, Ganga Singh, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Disalcott. This clown here, this Sherland Shepherd, let me tell you how dishonest these PNM are. 1999, Disalcott UNC built it. They built it, desalinated water only for the energy sector, only. So that potable water for the central area could go to you, so you could drink water in your house and wash your clothes. So they've got desalinated water for Point Lisas and the energy sector and so on, metal, steel, and them who need water, and charge them big money. It was profitable to the tune that WASA could make $4 to $5 per cubic meter of water. Profit for WASA. But in 2002, the PNM under Patrick Mervyn Augustus Manning decided to take from that 24 million gallons per day, take 5 million gallons out and put it onto the residential grid at a loss, because residential cannot pay a commercial energy sector rates. Then Patrick Mervyn Augustus Manning with Keith Rowley, Col Mimbert, Camille Robinson Regis in the cabinet in 2009, then it came out to a contract signed on January 19, 2010. They increased the amount of water to be purchased from DesalCot, the desalinated water, from 24 million gallons per day. The PNM increased that to 60 million gallons per day and signed that contract till 2034, take or pay, which means whether you need the water or you don't need the water, you had to take it. Kamla Prasad Bisesa came in and said, no, this is madness, this amount of water, this amount of expense. And she went to arbitration and negotiated with DesalCot. And DesalCot decided, even though they had a signed contract on January 19, 2010, signed, sealed, and delivered, that they did not have to negotiate at all, because that contract was valid for 60 million gallons per day at $1 US per cubic meter till 2034. Kamla Prasad Bisesa got them to take it down from 60 million gallons per day to 40 million gallons per day. This man Shepherd, you just heard him talk. He talked about 2002 and then he jumped to 2014 and say it was 24, and it raised, UNC raised it to 40, forgetting in between here that Manning, Rowley, Imbert and them increased it to 60. That's what you have there, and lying to a joint select committee. But we mash them up and we catch them. I want you all to listen now. Don't take my word for it. It was live on Parliament. Run it, Archie.
Let me just jump in there for 1 second, please. Chairman, through you. Mr. Shepherd, you went way back to 1999, 2002 to tell us about the 24 million gallons per day produced. And you said that 19 was for the energy sector and 5 was utilized for private consumption. That was a decision by WASA, because the intention was for the energy sector. But you somehow jumped from 2002 to 2014, and then you told me that you are going to leave out 2010. I put it to you, 2009. Sir, 2009 into 2010. I put it to you, sir, that I have a document in my hand dated January 19, 2010, where the government then contracted with DesalCot to increase their daily production from 24 MIGD to 60 MIGD. Are you saying that you are totally unaware of this contract signed on January 19, 2010?
Yeah, Mr. Shepherd.
Yes, member, through the chair. Yes, we are unaware of that document at this present time, but we will seek the information requested and will be forwarded to the committee as requested.
Mr. Shepherd, with all due respect, sir, you are the CEO of WASA. I have nothing to do with WASA. I don't even get water from WASA except in a truck. And I am telling you that that is the position signed by the government of Trinidad and Tobago in a critical area of desalination water, and that the president, and you came to the 2014 conclusion of 40 MIGD per day, and you did not know that that was a negotiation between DesalCot and the government then under Kamla Prasad Bisesa negotiated down from 60 MIGD per day that DesalCot had a signed, sealed, and delivered contract signed by Warren Sultan Khan and signed by the then CEO and witnessed by Mr. Claude Denbo, the lawyer for WASA, on January 19, 2010. You are telling me that you are totally unaware that the Salcott, even though they had a contract, because of their negotiation and willingness to work with the government, they agreed to reduce their production from 60 million gallons per day down to the 40 that you are aware of. You did not know that that went through a 2-year arbitration and it was negotiated and agreed upon. Is that your position here today, sir?
Membership.
Yes.
Mr. Shepard.
Yes, through you, Chair, again. Yes, as I said, I do not want to speculate because I don't have that information at hand. I will seek the information and provide it to the committee in writing. Okay.
Mr. Shepard, would you want to provide a time frame for this submission to the committee?
You can have within 2 weeks from today, sir. I can provide that within 2 weeks from today, sir.
2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And all you wonder why all you have water and all you want to vote for PNM. He come there to talk about the Salcott. He come there. This wasn't just like this wasn't a quiz, you know, a spot quiz like a teacher will just tell you, hey, we doing a quiz, you know. It's 4 months. They just get all what we want to know in advance to come there, and that is the shepherd of water. Now you know why none of all you have water. Well, it didn't done there. Barry Padarat, take him to the ringer. Watch this. Watch it carefully and then understand when all you come to vote. Vote for brain and stop voting for dum-dums because then you suffer. Watch this.
Chairman, on the same point, I just wanted to make sure that I got it clear from the CEO. The CEO said in 2002, he has confirmed that it was the first time that water out of the Salcott was placed on the domestic grid in Trinidad and Tobago. But then the member jumped when I asked about the year 2009 to 2014. I want to ask the member frontally whether or not he has ever seen, or if he is in possession, or he would like me to send him a copy of the 2009 Cabinet Note December 3rd, where the then administration in 2009 for the second time took water out of the Salcott meant for industrial purposes and placed it on the domestic grid at commercial rates for WASA to pay. So the member has confirmed that the first time it was done was in 2002. I'm asking the member whether he has a copy of this cabinet note that I have in front of me, or whether he would like me to send it to him, or whether or not this is the first time he's hearing of it. But the negotiations that he spoke about when he jumped to 2014 was based on a cabinet note of the year 2009, December 3rd. Is the member aware? Is the member in possession of such cabinet note? Is the member confirming this information?
Yes, Mr. Shepard.
Yes, through you, Chair, once more. I am aware that 24 million gallons was in operation. We were in operation at 24 million gallons in 2002, which 19 was to the industrial grid and 5 was sent to the domestic grid. I am aware that in 2014, it was increased to 40 million gallons, which 25 million gallons is now on the domestic grid and 15 is now on the industrial grid. That's the information I have. I will be seeking the information as outlined by the member.
Now keep in mind, Rowley came to you and lied and said UNC, Bastio, Gangasing, Kamla, Pasad, Bisesa, the desalination water was always just under the UNC for the energy sector to take the pressure off of you so that the real potable water could come to you. And that's why Gangasing and Kamla got it up to 74%. But Manning and PNM started to take this expensive water, sign take-or-pay contracts, with the last one being 2010 January 19th. But this man Shepherd is coming here and trying to put on the record for you live, lying in through his teeth to pretend he don't know. Because if you know about the 2014 contract, you would know that it was an arbitration. You are the CEO. You would know where it came from, what the amount was, and how come it reached 2036. Because the 2010 contract was up to 2034, $1 US for 60 million. But that we still would not let that go. We will keep the record live on TV because they thought they could slip through the lies and try to be protected. But Archie, Barry and myself, we didn't let them off the hook. Watch it now.
Mr. Shepherd, please, sir, you are telling this nation, we are live, the country is paying attention. You are in charge of water, life-giving, life-saving, water. And you are telling me that you jumped from 2002 to 2014 and you have no knowledge. So if I have a child who is now 16 years old, I will give you a story about her at 2 years old and then 14 and forget about between 3 to 13. Mr. Shepherd, this is not good enough. I am telling you that I have a signed contract. You are stating here to the nation that it increased to 40 million gallons per day in 2014. That is a patent falsehood because the contract that I have in my hand, signed January 19, 2010, increased the number of gallons requested from the Salcott per day from 24 MIGD to 60 MIGD. And therefore, in 2014, it was actually a decrease of 20 million gallons per day under Kamla Persad Bissessa and the UNC, who negotiated with the Salcott to reduce the number by 20 million gallons per day at $1 US per gallon, as signed off on by the PNM under Patrick Manning on January 19, 2010. You are telling me that you have no information on this when this Joint Select Committee has been prepared for and delayed for the last 4 months?
Member Roberts, I think you would have raised that previously, and from what I get, Mr. Shepherd did say that he needs to validate the information. He would do the necessary work, and that information is going to be provided to this committee in 2 weeks' time.
Then I would like, if that is so, then I want him, Mr. Shepherd, to withdraw his statement that it was increased to 40 million gallons per day in 2014. Because if he does not know, he cannot use the term increase. So let him withdraw that off of the record because it is false.
And all kind of protection, but it didn't done there because Rowley came and lied to you, the people, to tell you that the Salcott does hold the country to ransom, and if they get the money one time, they just shut down and go down for maintenance and things to hold the country to ransom, and that's why you have no water, because the Salcott is such a wicked company and so on. Really? Well, watch lie. You hear lie? Hear the truth now. Run it, Archie.
Member Padarat, let me just jump in there to flow with the questioning, please. Chairman, through you, to the financial officer at WASA, please. Does WASA pay the Salcott on delivery or receipt of water, or does the Salcott allow WASA a credit facility?
Back to the payment, they would bill us, like for example, if water is consumed in December, they would bill us like a month and a half after approximately. So the billings for the water consumed in December would be paid around the 13th of February.
And what is the average period, while that may be ideal, in the last year or two, what is the average period that it takes WASA to pay the SALCOT on? You've already said about 60 days. Does it average between 60 and 90 days? Does it extend to 120? What's the sort of relationship?
Remember, it varies, and I would prefer to calculate it over the period and provide an accurate average for you.
So if I were to say that the SALCOT, when they don't get their money, they shut down and say the maintenance, if they don't get cash on the dash, if they're not paid immediately, the SALCOT is very unreasonable and they always go and shut down production. If I was to make that statement, would that be true about the relationship between the SALCOT and WASA?
Member, to chair again. Maybe some things happen coincidentally. We are not sure. But
wait, sir, with all due respect, Chair, that question was for the finance official. I don't know how Mr. Shepherd has jumped in.
No, but I think I would allow Mr. Shepherd that flexibility, being the acting chief executive officer of the authority.
Oh, okay. All right, sir. Yes, Mr. Shepherd, please, you're answering?
Yes, I'm answering.
Yeah.
All right. As I was saying, it may be coincidental. It may be that they may not have the finance to bypass. I am not sure because I am not the operative of the desal plant. But there are instances where maybe I would not say yes or no. But there are instances.
I'm asking you, sir, from what the financial officer said, is that there seems to be a good relationship. The billing is not instantaneous. There's a period of reasonable business relation between WASA and the SALCOT. And in this instance, we've been given an example of about 60 days credit being offered by the SALCOT. If I, Senator Roberts, was to make a statement saying that the SALCOT is holding the country to ransom, and if they are not paid on the day that they need their money, that they shut down and they cut off the supply, claiming to go to maintenance, will that be a fair, reasonable statement?
We can't answer that question, as I was saying. Right?
Okay, thank you, Mr. CEO. So clearly, the statement by Keith Christopher Rowley was not true. It was false, and it was attacking the SALCOT.
Mr. Chairman,
Member Roberts, could we please not go down that political line? The purpose of the joint select committee is to explore in a non-partisan political way.
Chairman,
matters affecting the, no, let me finish, please. Matters affecting the authority, and the objectives were clearly laid out at the beginning of the inquiry. And I, based on what you said there, we're bringing in terms of the Prime Minister and what he said and not being true and all of those things, that is not necessary.
Chairman, weren't those documents circulated to the Joint Select Committee, Chairman, by your good self? The documents about the statement made recently at a press conference by the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister of Public Utilities, and have those not been circulated here for us to read?
Yeah, they have been circulated, but I don't intend to enter into a debate with you about what is happening. I have given my advice on the matter. And,
so you are saying that documents presented here we cannot utilize to question. I'm very confused, but it's okay. I respect your ruling, sir.
Excellent. Right? They circulate document because Rowley lie. And when we read it and ask and get the correct information, they don't want to hear that Rowley lie. Well, I telling all you, Rowley flipping lie. And he lie again about the cost of water now. Because Rowley said that with this, the SALCOT is crippling the country. because they're charging $1.80 US per cubic meter. That's what Rowley said. But lo and behold, the truth, which we had to pull out, we had to extricate like a rotten tooth in the back of your mouth from Mr. Sherland P&M Shepherd. The truth is, it's $1 US, not $1.80 US per cubic meter, like Rowley lied again. Don't take my word for it. Hear the truth. Archie?
Chairman, on the cost, just to flow, because you'll be going off the circle. Just on cost, please, Chairman. Can I ask Mr. Shepherd, what is the cost per cubic meter of water produced by the Salcott and purchased by WASA from the Salcott? What is the cost per cubic meter?
Mr. Shepherd?
Yeah, we don't have that information accurately at this time. We would like to forward that within 2 weeks with the answer to the other question.
Chairman, I'll go on to
Mr. Shepherd, before Member Roberts, before you go ahead. Chairman, Mr. Shepherd, are you telling us this committee that WASA cannot inform this committee at this point in time what rate we are purchasing water from the Salcott? At what rate we are purchasing water from the Salcott, the authority? That information is not there from your team at your fingertips?
Yeah, we have a figure of $1 per cubic meter. We have US per cubic meter. We have that information. But
that's what I asked, sir.
Well,
that's what I asked. Thank you. And follow-up question. So it's $1 US per cubic meter, and it's not $1.80 US per cubic meter. So I'm just clarifying that figure. Is there another supplier of desalinated water to WASA in Trinidad and Tobago?
yes, we have the 7 Seas water treatment plant in Point Fortin, producing 5.6 million gallons of water.
Is that a foreign or local company?
It is a foreign company.
What rate does WASA pay per cubic meter of water to 7 Seas, please, sir?
The last rate we had is $1.39 US per cubic meter. But we
is $1.39 US per cubic meter higher than $1 flat per cubic meter?
I would think so.
And if I were to tell you that I have the rate at 1.65 now per cubic meter from 7 Seas, would that be factual or not so?
Well, I will have to confirm that figure before I say it's factual.
And a final question to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Utilities. Does the Salcott pay for their electricity usage per month? And secondly, does 7 Seas, the foreign company, get a rebate from TNTech and pay no money to TNTech for the electricity that they use in their process?
Member, if you would allow me, I'd prefer to provide that in writing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll do a lot of reading in 2 weeks. Thank you, sir.
So clearly, so Rowley tell all you, the Salcott and the UNC busing WASA. $1.80 per cubic meter of water. Lie is $1 US. Furthermore, he didn't tell you, they have a foreign company dealing with water, desalinated water to 7 Seas. And he didn't tell you that they charge 65 cents US more than the Salcott per cubic meter. But then also, the Salcott, the local company here, they pay the electricity bill. So they pay T&Tech $5.6 million per month for electricity because they change saltwater to freshwater. It have plenty electricity. Do you know that 7 Seas, you see why the Ministry of Public Utilities didn't want to answer? They want to answer in 2 weeks. That you and I go do plenty reading in 2 weeks. This Joint Select Committee, what you got questions in advance, 4 months ago this thing waiting, but them only can't answer nothing. But the truth is that the 7 Seas people get a bribe from the government. They don't pay nothing for electricity. They get electricity free. They come in to charge you extra for electricity. But 7 Seas, a foreign company, does get electricity free. And Rowley come in to lie on the Salcott and lie on the UNC. But the next one, they try to lie and talk about take or pay and the grid and what happening and why the water had to be used. But keep in mind, the main contract was signed on January 19, 2010 by the PNM, of which Rowley was a member, of which Camille Robinson Regis, Coleman Butt, all of them were members. And they increased the number of gallons per day from 24 million to 60 million, signed a contract to 2034 and take or pay. Meaning, even if you don't use it, you have to pay for it. But part and parcel of the problem now is more incompetence by the PNM. Because of Small Pin and Rowley and the Houston negotiation of gas price, and Point Lisa shut down, and Mittal Steel Plant shut down, and 11 companies in Point Lisa shut down, there is a lower demand for water in Point Lisa. So therefore, if you have to buy this amount, but now due to Rowley's energy sector policy, only this much is utilized in the energy sector, you buy this much, you have to use it. So because of PNM stupidity, incompetence, dotishness, and crashing of the energy sector, you, WASA, and all you who gonna lose your work is because of the PNM cabinet. Run it, Archie, listen carefully.
The demand for the industrial area was reduced, right?
Chairman, can I come in here, please, Chairman? No. Based on that, Chairman, you asked very...
Member Roberts?
Yes, Chairman, I'm following up on your question there from the answer for Mr. Shepherd. Mr. Shepherd, sir, Mittal plant closed down in 2017 or so. The Chairman is asking a question that why has the ratio changed from industrial usage, which it was the original intent, and which was profitable in that the cost paid or received by WASA could be $12 per gallon as opposed to $6 to produce it, $6.75. So WASA would make a profit on that from industrial, but would lose in the general service to citizens. So to talk about Mittal in 2016, again, sir, you are mashing gas and moving out decades. And I'm confused. I need to follow carefully, please. Why are we using so much desalinated water in our national private sector residential grid?
Yeah, so Member Roberts will I'll allow Mr. Shepherd to answer, to finish his answer. And if you would like to also ask members of his team to contribute to this answering this question. Mr. Shepherd?
I kind of forgot your question because of the disturbance. I don't know if you would like to repeat it for me, please.
Because of the disturbance, you're rude, Mr. Shepherd. You're the CEO. What is your salary? 70,000, 80,000 per month and perks, and you don't know nothing, and nobody again no water, and you're arrogant with your dotish PNM self. But I disturbing you? I disturbing your suave, relaxed, non-performing self? But next thing we went on, I think they continued on the take or pay, Archie. Run it, let me see.
Chairman, hold on. Barry, Chairman, hold on, please. On this same topic, just not to change the flow. Chairman, Mr. Shepherd, sorry for disturbing you. I humbly apologize. But you're stating that a reduction in demand in the energy sector necessitated an immediate transfer of excess capacity onto the private sector residential grid. if the residential grid was being serviced by WASA through its normal potable water reservoirs and so on, why and where would this extra 25 million gallons per day go? Why is it necessary? What is the need? I'm not understanding, because of a reduced demand in the energy sector, that you are saying that it must automatically be diverted to the residential sector. Please kindly explain that.
Yeah, Mr. Shepherd, maybe you would want to just guide the committee or enlighten the committee regarding the take or pay arrangement that you have with the Salcott. Yeah.
Okay. Chairman, I will have to review that and send that to you also in writing. I didn't review the take or pay. I know it is not take or pay arrangement.
Archie, my mic up. Because I want to make sure you all hear this next point. So, in comes the PNM members of the Joint Select Committee. Totally unprepared, don't know nothing, don't research, they just there. But now they thought that they got a chance to attack the UNC because the information being proffered by Mr. Sherland Shepherd of the WASA was that it was the UNC in 2014 who signed a take-or-pay contract till 2036, increasing the amount of gallons per day required from the Salcott from 24 to 40, and they signed a contract to 2036. How could that? Why would they do that? What due diligence? The UNC must be so corrupt and so on. This was Senator Nigel De Freitas jumping in to try to make that point, and Member of Parliament Lisa Morris Julian asking who was the CEO, meaning under the UNC, who signed that dastardly contract, and how could they do that? There was one problem. These poor little PNM, they didn't even know that it was them, the PNM before them, the old guard of the PNM on January 19, 2010, who signed that contract from 2010 to 2034. So, Senator De Freitas, what due diligence was done by the PNM? Why would they keep us and hold us down to this, the PNM? Why would they sign a take-or-pay and keep us strangled? It was the PNM. So, Nigel De Freitas, your arguments to try to impugn the UNC, you drop it straight on your own head, Nigel De Freitas. When you come to dance, read, research, and work. Don't come dotish, my brother. Run it.
The desal water goes between Point Research down to Library, parts of Library. So the usage is still there. And we still are in that take-or-pay arrangement till 2036, which was signed in 2014. What I know of is the times the water entered the grid, which was 2002 at 24 million, and the time when it increased in 2014. All the negotiations in the back of it, I didn't make myself or inform, and do any studies to inform myself or to inform the committee of, and I will do so in writing within 2 weeks.
Thank you, Member Shepherd. I would like to just go to before.
One second, Mr. Chair. I just heard Mr. Shepherd say something. Could you just for clarification, this contract with the Salcott to 2036 that was signed in 2014, what type of due diligence or would have been done in signing a contract to 2036 for 40 million gallons of water a day? What was the need assessment done in relation to that? Like, why would you sign a contract for so long, especially a take or pay contract that has us bogged down for so long? Because from what you're saying is that demand dropped, obviously, but we still need to do something with that water that we're on the hook for till 2036. What would cause that?
PNM, the freighters, PNM caused that. PNM signed the contract. When you're unprepared, you put the nail in your coffin. Go and ask Anil Roberts Regis why in January 19, 2010, all you signed that. Why the cabinet approved that to sign till 2034. Why they increased to 60 million gallons per day. Why they signed take or pay. Why they didn't do due diligence. Go and ask your PNM colleagues, son. You come unprepared, you embarrass yourself and use a Tobagonian. Tobagonians normally research and don't come and open their mouth and sound dotish. Shame on you, Nigel the Freighters. Shame on you. And then Barry come in and well, Barry start a hip slap all over the place. Run it.
Mr. Chairman, please, for the record, because of your ruling, Mr. Chairman, please, and you're allowing the discussion to go somewhere, totally ignoring the fact that Mr. Shepherd, due to his lack of research, lack of bringing information, there was a contract that preceded 2014, sir, that was signed on January 19, 2010, and it made WASA take or pay 60 million gallons per day. That contract was renegotiated and decreased to 40 million gallons per day in 2014. So please don't allow other members to try to change the record of the facts here. Please, sir.
Well, it's a question of changing it. Yes.
Chairman, if I may, and it has to do with the last comment that was made by Mr. Shepherd, but also my last question on this issue. You see, Mr. Chairman, seeing that Mr. Shepherd claims ignorance of the 2010 contract that was signed till 2034, that was renegotiated in 2014, I want to ask Mr. Shepherd whether he's aware that there was an escalating clause in the 2010 contract that was signed off by the 2009 Manning administration for up to 2034 with an escalating clause, which meant that the Salcott company could come and tell you they want $1 today and then come and tell you they want $2 tomorrow for the same amount of water. So if the member does not have a copy of that cabinet note and that contract, we will supply him with such. But it seems that the member is cherry picking and focusing on 2014, fully well knowing that the contract was signed in 2010 up to 2034 with an escalating clause in that contract and an option to buy out the Salcott.
So Nigel, the freighters of the PNM, the Honorable Senator, go and ask your PNM colleagues why they have you all hooked, why you have us stuck with that, why it's around our neck, and then understand and ask them when they collapse the energy sector now that they are making it even worse for the people of Trinidad and Tobago on top of their incompetence. And when you talk incompetence, Archie, all you listen to this part and then you know that elections have consequences. If you ain't believe it yet, if you can't see the difference, but listen to this now. Come in, Mr. Shepherd, rock my world with your brilliance.
And final question from Mr. Shepherd. So if we are losing 40 to 50 to 55% of potable water per month, why is it a plan of WASA to increase supply rather than fix the distribution network? It appears that the supply is fantastic, but that the distribution throws away 50%. So what you need to do is stop throwing away the 50%, and then the supply will be satisfactory.
Member, through you, Chair, member, as I said, that was estimated by consultants. But there is a plan of it to repair the leaks and bring it down. But personally, through my 34 years of experience in this company, and as the other member said, I don't believe that repairing all the leaks will satisfy the demand, the growing demand for water in this country.
So 50 to 55% of the water that WASA try to pump to we does spill out and waste and go down in the dirt and soak down. So we operating on 45%. And he's saying if he fix that, it wouldn't have enough water for we. But on top of that, let me tell all you something. I told you all, Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the Honorable Ganga Singh in 2014 took the percentage of the population, you, who could turn on your tap 24/7 and get water in your tap, from 20% under Patrick Manning in May 2010 to 2014, took it up from 20% to 74%. Do you know what it is now under that genius, that double stuffed Oreo dunce called Rowley? 16%. He even worse than Manning. Run it, Archie.
What is finally, what is the percentage, sir, right now of the population receiving a 24/7 supply in their homes from WASA?
So if that question to the Director of Operations.
Current Chair, the percentage of the population currently receiving 24/7 level of service is at 16%.
At 16%. What was the highest percentage ever attained by WASA in this percentage 24/7 supply? Was it in 2014 74%?
Okay, Member Roberts, your question is taking back, I think the WASA team back to a period of 2014. So, please let me finish.
And just to sum it up, you know the douglAR politics team must sum up all of that for all you. Vishnu, all you come in, run it, Archie.
Thank you. Also ask Mr. Shepherd, how much potable water is lost through leakage in WASA's distribution network per month?
Look at the amount of water, look at that. Pressure.
This leak has been here for the past few years. Several reports has been made to WASA, and nothing has been done. WASA has been claiming it's a spring, but as you can see, it's
Chair, to you, remember, we don't have measuring devices to give you an accurate answer to that, but we have had reports of estimated amounts by consultants between 40 to 50% of the water we produce.
So if we are losing 40 to 50 to 55% of potable water per month, why is it a plan of WASA to increase supply rather than fix the distribution network? It appears that the supply is fantastic, but that the distribution throws away 50%. So what you need to do is stop throwing away the 50%, and then the supply will be satisfactory.
And I never imagined that leaks could have prevented people from getting an efficient water supply, because it breaks down pressure and the water cannot go to communities on the upper levels.
You didn't know that if you take a little pin and put a hole in the balloon will go down? all you have been laughing, but all you vote for that, you know. Let me tell you something, and while all of that going on, check Marvin Gonzalez, Minister Man, and the same Shepherd with Penny Beckers who finished pluck chicken. Them gone and paint up a booster station to boost water for it to leak out faster. Hey, I don't know what else to say. But all of them were selected by one man and one man alone, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And Kamala Persad-Bissessar says criminal charges should be laid against Prime Minister Rowley. Criminal charges must be laid against the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, says opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar. She stated that Rowley's admission of misbehavior in public office regarding the former Police Service Commission combined with the former police commissioner's claim that Rowley directed him to persecute opposition members using 35 million of taxpayers' dollars must lead to criminal charges. Rowley, she said, is in panic mode. In a news release, Persad-Bissessar stated that Rowley's public humiliation of former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi is clearly an attempt to change the narrative from his admission of guilt to misbehavior in public office, his disastrous interview with the Express. But let me tell you, DCP Jacob, like you don't know how police does work. You don't know what is your work, DCP Jacob. You all the people of Trinidad and Tobago, listen to this man. You don't need police, don't need no report. Police don't need no man to come and make a statement. If police see a crime occurring or believe that a crime is taking place, police could investigate. But listen to DCP Duns. Run it.
What that will involve interviewing and engaging the person or persons who may have made the initial allegation.
It is disgraceful that an acting commissioner of police says that you require my assistance. You don't need the assistance of Gary Griffith. It is there for the whole country to see. I am not someone that is giving evidence. I'm not someone that has documentation. It is there. I was not there at President's house. Jacob is playing smart with foolishness and is trying to find an excuse not to go after possible government officials who would have broken the law. This has nothing to do with...
Exactly. And DCP Jacobs, let me ask you some questions. Because, like, you need help, DCP Jacobs. Because the bally's all in your nose, all in your ears, all down your throat. Hear what to do, DCP Jacobs. Go and question the former police service commissioners. Go and ask them. Go and ask Bliss C. Persad. Go and ask Roger K. Walsing. Go and ask Courtney McNish. Go and ask Dr. Craig James what took place, what happened, what did the chairperson Bliss C. Persad tell them after they had done their work, they had completed their work, they had done interviews and produced a merit list and signed off on it for it to be taken to the president and directly to the parliament. But somehow it reached back. Go and ask Roger K. Walsing, DCP Jacob. Ask K. Walsing what Bliss C. Persad came back and told them when she brought back the list. When the list come back like a boomerang. Ask Courtney McNish what Bliss C. Persad told them when she brought back the list. Now, Bliss C. Persad, I am asking you, did you tell these members of the Police Service Commission that you were instructed by the Honorable Prime Minister to withdraw the list? Bliss C. Persad, if you didn't hear because Anil's voice soft, let me ask you again. Bliss C. Persad, did you tell these other commissioners when they were shocked that their work had been returned to them, did you tell them that you were instructed so to do by the Honorable Prime Minister Keith Christopher Rowley? Answer Bliss, because the only Bliss that making sense is Carnival next year. All you sign up for Bliss. And second Bliss, let me ask you this. Bliss C. Persad, did you attend the AGM at the Queen's Park Oval Cricket Club earlier this year? Were you in attendance? Did you sip some Prosecco and some red wine? Miss Bliss C. Persad, at that AGM, did you have conversation with members of the Queen's Park Oval? Bliss C. Persad, did you at any time, especially speaking to two specific members of the Queen's Park Oval, did you tell them that it was Keith Christopher Rowley, the Honorable Prime Minister, who instructed you to withdraw the merit list? Bliss? Now remember, they will be subpoenaed as witnesses. This thing is getting very serious. So Bliss, please answer. And to you, DCP Jacobs, Let me ask Rowley first. Rowley, how did you know the merit list was going to the President's house on August 11th? Who tell you this secret list, this work? Who inform you? It's not your business. How did you find out that? Who told you that? And how did you know that Gary Griffith topped that list, and therefore you had to put something in place to tell them to take back the list? How you got information? The list was sealed, signed, secret. How you have that information, Keith Christopher Rowley? And to DCP Dunce, it does not require a report. And didn't former Commissioner of Police acting at that time, Gary Griffith, send you an email and instruct you to investigate the matter in October 2021? So why did you not follow instructions and orders from your superior, DCP Dunce? This country is in a mess. Why? Why? Because of a divisive, ignorant, pathological liar who has managed to become the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Guyana is moving upwards. There's hope, there's brilliance. Why? Because a government of intelligence was elected there. Look at this president. This president is a Muslim, but look at him, President Irfan Ali. Show them. A Muslim president celebrating passionately, excitedly, spiritually with his Hindu brothers and sisters, sending a clear message of unity, love, inclusive nature, and respect and tolerance. And what do we have? Keith Christopher Lekoto Oreo Rowley. After all that evil, all I could say is, happy Holi, good night.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, all. Chair, I want to preface my questions by first saying that I think it is very unfortunate that once more WASA has taken the position they have attending this meeting to say that they are not sure whether they'll be able to answer the questions based on the Cabinet Subcommittee report. It's been over 1 year that this Cabinet Subcommittee report is a public document. I'm not sure if this current CEO of WASA is familiar with the process and the procedure, but these reports are laid in Parliament and they are public documents. So for one to claim ignorance really is a sad state of affairs for WASA at this Joint Select Committee meeting this afternoon. And I think it is a disservice to any Joint Select Committee. It's a disservice to the Parliament and the people of Trinidad and Tobago for WASA to take the position once more. Because we've had several attempts of WASA appearing before this Joint Select Committee, and once more it appears as though WASA is hiding behind claiming ignorance, claiming sub judice. So one would really hope that WASA will get their act in order, and one would hope that they are not trying or attempting to stymie the work of this Joint Select Committee. Nonetheless, I will pose a few questions as it relates to the WASA Sub-Cabinet Committee report. There are three main areas in that report, and one has to do with the outstanding loans by WASA as it relates to the SALCOT, but it also has to do with respect to the arrears and the debts that WASA owes to the SALCOT. The Cabinet Subcommittee report attributes some of the major financial challenges of WASA being a result of these arrears and debts that WASA owes to the SALCOT. Before I go into my questions with the interim operating agreement loans that have matured in 2021, the first question that I would like to pose to the officials of WASA is to give us some context, some background information on how WASA arrived at the SALCOT in terms of, I have two cabinet notes in front of me, one dated 2002, the other one dated in the year 2009. And in both these cabinet documents, WASA, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in 2002 and 2009, negotiated for water to be taken out of the SALCOT at commercial rates that was meant for commercial use and placed on the domestic grid in both the year 2002 and 2009. And when we calculate the figures in terms of the debts, it has a lot to do because we took water out of the commercial grid that the SALCOT was meant for and put it on the domestic grid at commercial prices. So I just was hoping that WASA will be able to give us a context of why this occurred in the year 2002 and 2009 and to confirm that it was in the year 2002 and renegotiated in 2009 that water on the commercial grid meant for the Point Lisas Industrial Estate was placed on the domestic grid at commercial rates.
Thank you, Member, for your question. And if I could please also add to what Member Padarat is asking, is that he referred to some previous years, but if also WASA could address whether that practice is continuing at present times in terms of what volume of water from the SALCOT is being put into the domestic grid. Mr. Shepard.
Good afternoon, members again. At present, the amount of water that goes to the domestic grid from the desal plant is 25 million gallons. Right? In 2002, the plant started producing 24 million gallons, which 19 was to the industrial grid and 5 million gallons was to the domestic grid. In 2014, it was renegotiated where the plant increased production from 24 million to 40 million gallons. And since then, we have produced 25 million gallons into the domestic grid. And it is still going. With respect to the 2009, I don't want to answer because that will be speculating. We don't have research on that right now. We will research it further and provide that answer to the committee as we get through.
Chairman, may I continue?
Yeah, please.
Certainly. Thank you.
Chairman, Barry, let me just jump in there for 1 second, please. Chairman, through you. Mr. Shepard, you went way back to 1999, 2002 to tell us about the 24 million gallons per day produced. And you said that 19 was for the energy sector and 5 was utilized for private consumption. That was a decision by WASA because the intention was for the energy sector. But you somehow jumped from 2002 to 2014, and then you told me that you are going to leave out 2010. I put it to you, 2009. Sir. 2009 into 2010. I put it to you, sir, that I have a document in my hand dated January 19, 2010, where the government then contracted with the Salcott to increase their daily production from 24 MIGD to 60 MIGD. Are you saying that you are totally unaware of this contract signed on January 19, 2010?
Yeah, Mr. Shepherd.
Yes, member, through the chair. Yes, we are unaware of that document at this present time, but we will seek the information requested and will be forwarded to the committee as requested.
Mr. Shepherd, with all due respect, sir, you are the CEO of WASA. I have nothing to do with WASA. I don't even get water from WASA except in a truck. And I am telling you that that is the position signed by the government of Trinidad and Tobago in a critical area of desalination water, and that the and you came to the 2014 conclusion of 40 MIGD per day, and you did not know that that was a negotiation between the Salcott and the government then under Kamala Prasad Bisesa negotiated down from 60 MIGD per day that the Salcott had a signed, sealed, and delivered contract signed by Warren Sultan Khan and signed by the then CEO and witnessed by Mr. Claude Denbo, the lawyer for WASA, on January 19, 2010. You are telling me that you are totally unaware that the Salcott, even though they had a contract, because of their negotiation and willingness to work with the government, they agreed to reduce their production from 60 million gallons per day down to the 40 that you are aware of. You did not know that that went through a 2-year arbitration and it was negotiated and agreed upon. Is that your position here today, sir?
Membership. Mr. Shepherd.
Yes, through you, Chair, again. Yes, as I said, I do not want to speculate because I don't have that information at hand. I will seek the information and provide it to the committee in writing. Okay.
Mr. Shepherd, would you want to provide a time frame for this submission to the committee?
You can have within 2 weeks. From today, sir. I can provide that within 2 weeks from today, sir.
2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Member Badara, we go back to you.
Yes, Chairman, on the same point, I just wanted to make sure that I got it clear from the CEO. The CEO said in 2002, he has confirmed that it was the first time that water out of the Salcott was placed on the domestic grid in Trinidad and Tobago. But then the member jumped when I asked about the year 2009 to 2014. I want to ask the member frontally whether or not he has ever seen, or if he is in possession, or he would like me to send him a copy of the 2009 Cabinet Note December 3rd, where the then administration in 2009 for the second time took water out of the Salcott meant for industrial purposes and placed it on the domestic grid at commercial rates for WASA to pay. So the member has confirmed that the first time it was done was in 2002. I'm asking the member whether he has a copy of this cabinet note that I have in front of me, or whether he would like me to send it to him, or whether or not this is the first time he's hearing of it. But the negotiations that he spoke about when he jumped to 2014 was based on a cabinet note of the year 2009, December 3rd. Is a member aware? Is a member in possession of such cabinet note? Is a member confirming this information?
Yes, Mr. Shepherd.
Yes, through you, Chair, once more. I am aware that 24 million gallons was in operation. We were in operation at 24 million gallons in 2002, which 19 was to the industrial grid and 5% to the domestic grid. I am aware that in 2014, it was increased to 40 million gallons, which 25 million gallons is now on the domestic grid, and 15 is now on the industrial grid. That's the information I have. I will be seeking the information as outlined by the member, and I will be forwarding that information to the subcommittee at that time within 2 weeks.
Mr. Chairman, please. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Yes. Mr. Shepherd, please, sir. You are telling this nation, we are live, the country is paying attention. You are in charge of water, life-giving, life-saving, life water. And you are telling me that you jumped from 2002 to 2014 and you have no knowledge. So if I have a child who is now 16 years old, I will give you a story about her at 2 years old and then 14 and forget about between 3 to 13. Mr. Shepherd, this is not good enough. I am telling you that I have a signed contract. You are stating here to the nation that it increased to 40 million gallons per day in 2014. That is a patent falsehood because the contract that I have in my hand, signed January 19, 2010, increased the number of gallons requested from the Salcott per day from 24 MIGD to 60 MIGD. And therefore, in 2014, it was actually a decrease of 20 million gallons per day under Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC, who negotiated with the Salcott to reduce the number by 20 million gallons per day at $1 US per gallon, as signed off on by the PNM under Patrick Manning on January 19, 2010. You are telling me that you have no information on this when this Joint Select Committee has been prepared for and delayed for the last 4 months?
Yeah. Member Roberts, I think you would have raised that previously, and from what I get, Mr. Shepherd did say that he needs to validate the information. He would do the necessary work, and that information is going to be provided to this committee in 2 weeks' time.
Then I would like, if that is so, then I want him, Mr. Shepherd, to withdraw his statement that it was increased to 40 million gallons per day in 2014. Because if he does not know, he cannot use the term increase. So let him withdraw that off of the record because it is false.
Certainly, Chairman. I have 2 other questions with respect to the Salcott. But Chairman, based on the last answer that was provided by Mr. Shepherd, I can understand why now last week the Minister of Public Utilities said that he could not depend on unreliable, untrue, misleading information coming from WASA. That was the statement made by the Minister of Public Utilities. And when Mr. Shepherd comes with his politician's hat as opposed to a public servant hat, refusing to answer truthfully,
Chairman, respectfully, Mr. Shepherd is a public servant and he's not wearing a politician hat. And I do not think that this is the correct way for us to conduct business. We ask the questions, they are supposed to answer. And if they do not answer, Chairman, they're supposed to give us the answer in a written form, in a timely manner. Thank you very much, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Member Padarat. I would ask you to continue, please. But if any insertions in your questioning are leaning towards political implications, I just ask you to temper that a bit, please.
Chairman, I know what you're saying. To WASA, through your chairman and through you, chairman of our committee, could the member indicate with respect to the operating agreement loans, the interim operating agreement loans that was matured in 2021 with respect to the SALCOT, could the members say what are the outstanding arrears to the SALCOT from WASA, the outstanding debts in light of these maturing loans?
Again, through you, Chair, I would allow the Director of Finance to answer that question. General Spence.
Good day. Good day, everybody, and through Chair. So there's one facility that was used to help us assist in paying the SALCOT, which was a revolving facility. That facility has expired. However, we have been utilizing our revenue to pay the SALCOT and to ensure that the arrears that we owe them is kept to a minimum amount. So as of this month, we probably owe one invoice and part of another invoice for December. So as we get our revenue and we are able to purchase US currency, we do pay the SALCOT. So the arrears with just one invoice currently that was due on the 13th of March. And also there is part of an invoice that is due on December that we have been trying to pay them as we get the collections.
Chairman, respectfully, that doesn't answer my question in terms of a quantum of what, even if the member can't give us a specific figure, we can have a basic idea of what is the outstanding liability with respect to the SALCOT owed by the state.
So the amount that would be owed to the SALCOT would be approximately one invoice and part of another, with cash, which would be approximately $9 million US.
And my last question on this issue for the time being, Chairman, through you.
Member Padarat, let me just jump in there to flow with the questioning, please. Chairman, through you to the financial officer at WASA, please. Does WASA pay the SALCOT on delivery or receipt of water, or does the SALCOT allow WASA a credit facility?
Back to the payment, they would bill us, like for example, if water is consumed in December, they would bill us like a month and a half after approximately. So the billings for the water consumed in December would be paid around the 13th of February.
And what is the average period, while that may be ideal, in the last year or two, what is the average period that it takes WASA to pay the SALCOT on? You've already said about 60 days. Does it average between 60 and 90 days? Does it extend to 120? What's the sort of relationship?
Remember, it varies, and I would prefer to calculate it over the period and provide an accurate average for you.
So if I were to say that the SALCOT, when they don't get their money, they shut down and say the maintenance, if they don't get cash on the dash, if they're not paid immediately, the SALCOT is very unreasonable and they always go and shut down production. If I was to make that statement, would that be true about the relationship between the SALCOT and WASA?
Member, good afternoon to Chair again. Maybe some things happen coincidentally. We are not sure. But
so with all due respect, Chair, that question was for the finance official. I don't know how Mr. Shepherd has jumped in.
No, but I think I would allow Mr. Shepherd that flexibility, being the acting chief executive officer of the authority.
Oh, okay. All right, sir. Yes, Mr. Shepherd, please, you're answering?
Yes, I'm answering.
Yeah.
All right. As I was saying, it may be coincidental. It may be that they may not have the finance to bypass. I am not sure because I'm not the operative of the desal plant. But there are instances where maybe I would not say yes or no, but there are instances.
I'm asking you, sir, from what the financial officer said, is that there seems to be a good relationship. The billing is not instantaneous. There's a period of reasonable business relation between WASA and the SALCOT. And in this instance, we've been given an example of about 60 days credit being offered by the SALCOT. If I, Senator Roberts, was to make a statement saying that the SALCOT is holding the country to ransom, and if they are not paid on the day that they need their money, that they shut down and they cut off the supply, claiming to go to maintenance, will that be a fair, reasonable statement?
We can't answer that question, as I was saying, right? We are not
Thank you, Mr. CEO. So clearly, the statement by Keith Christopher Rowley was not true. It was false, and it was attacking the SALCOT.
Mr. Chairman,
Member Roberts, could we please not go down that political line? The purpose of the Joint Select Committee is to explore in a non-partisan political way matters affecting the, let me finish, please. Matters affecting the authority, and the objectives were clearly laid out at the beginning of the inquiry. And I, based on what you said there, were bringing in terms of the Prime Minister and what he said and not being true and all of those things, that is not necessary.
Chairman, weren't those documents circulated to the Joint Select Committee, Chairman, by your good self? The documents about the statement made recently at a press conference by the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister of Public Utilities, and have those not been circulated here for us to read?
Yeah, they have been circulated, but I don't intend to enter into a debate with you about what is happening. I have given my advice on the matter. And,
so you are saying that documents presented here we cannot utilize to question? I'm very confused, but it's okay. I respect your ruling, sir.
Yeah,
but even if documents are presented here, the line of questioning to ask an entity to determine whether something is true or untrue that was said outside of the entity's remit is not correct here. It's not something that they can answer, and that is exactly what the chairman is trying to say. That
I did not ask them a
particular path line, which is what the Joint Select is not set up for. I understand what you're saying. Being here.
Yeah, please, if I may interject, members, please don't let us engage in a debate in the public about what is appropriate, the line of question and all of those things. I am chairing the meeting. I've made a ruling, and let us please proceed. I go back to member Padarat, and also after member Padarat, I see member Ibrahim and member Morris Julian has their hand up. Yeah, member Padarat. I would really like to close off the questioning on the SALCOT before we get into any other matters.
Two more questions, Chairman, on this particular issue. The first one has to do with whether or not WASA has recommended to the Cabinet legislation with respect to the water improvement rate. As we know, the last time any legislation was brought with respect to the water improvement rate as it relates to the SALCOT would have been in and around the year 2011, 2012. And this would have had to do specifically with the commercial sector. Has WASA made any recommendation in recent times since 2012 to now with respect to a review of the water improvement rate for the commercial sector?
Remember, this question is in a particular reference to the SALCOT?
Correct.
Yes. Mr. Shepherd?
Yes, no. The answer to that question is no. As far as we know, we have not made any recommendations.
Okay. Chair, if you would allow a follow-up question, because I have a separate question outside of this, but a follow-up question to this one would be whether or not WASA is in the process of the water improvement rate legislation in terms of reviewing it with a view of making a recommendation to cabinet for the commercial sector? And if so, why has this not been done as a revenue generating stream for WASA through the commercial sector?
Yes, Mr. Shepherd. Yes, member. No, that is not within the remit of WASA at this time.
So this is something WASA is not considering. After 9 years since the last time the water improvement rate legislation was reviewed, this is not a recommendation coming from WASA. The last question I have, Mr. Chair, speaks specifically.
Chairman, on the cost, just to flow, because you'll be going off the circle. Just on cost, please, Chairman. Can I ask Mr. Shepherd, what is the cost per cubic meter of water produced by the Salcott and purchased by WASA from the Salcott? What is the cost per cubic meter?
Mr. Shepherd?
Yeah, we don't have that information accurately at this time. We would like to forward that within 2 weeks with the answer to the other question.
Chairman, I'll go on to
Mr. Shepherd, before Member Roberts, before you go ahead. Chairman, Mr. Shepherd, are you telling us this committee that WASA cannot inform this committee at this point in time what rate we are purchasing water from the Salcott? At what rate we are purchasing water from the Salcott, the authority? That information is not there from your team at your fingertips?
Yeah, we have a figure of $1 per cubic meter. We have US per cubic meter. We have that information. But
that's what I asked, sir. That's what I asked. Thank you. And follow-up question. So it's $1 US per cubic meter, and it's not $1.80 US per cubic meter. So I'm just clarifying that figure. Is there another supplier of desalinated water to WASA in Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, we have the 7 Seas water treatment plant in Point Fortin, producing 5.6 million gallons of water.
Is that a foreign or local company?
It is a foreign company.
What rate does WASA pay per cubic meter of water to 7 Seas, please, sir?
The last rate we had is $1.39 US per cubic meter. But we
is $1.39 US per cubic meter higher than $1 flat per cubic meter?
I would think so.
And if I were to tell you that I have the rate at 1.65 now per cubic meter from 7 Seas, would that be factual or not so?
Well, I will have to confirm that figure before I say it's factual.
And a final question to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Utilities. Does the Salcott pay for their electricity usage per month? And secondly, does 7 Seas, the foreign company, get a rebate from TNTech and pay no money to TNTech for the electricity that they use in their process?
Member, if you would allow me, I'd prefer to provide that in writing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'll do a lot of reading in 2 weeks. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Shepherd, just to, based on the questions that have been posed by Member Roberts, is that in terms of the figures that you have given to the committee, if you could in response to the committee in writing, if you can please clarify and verify the information that you have given with regards to the rates based on the questions from both the SALCOT and the 7 Seas entities. As we are on, thank you. As we are on the SALCOT, and before we move off, I myself would just like to ask one or two questions in that the current ratio you had given now in terms of the usage of water purchased from the SALCOT by WASA is 25 million gallons for domestic use and 15 million gallons for commercial use. And I know the whole SALCOT arrangement would have been originated based on purely purchasing water for commercial users, particularly in the Point Lisas area, which is why the authority would be willing to pay such a high rate for treated water, because the economic feasibility would tend to suggest that the price that you are purchasing water for would be offset by the price that you could charge your commercial customers in that Point Lisas area. But now that the ratio has reversed substantially, 25 to 15, and you are putting 25 million gallons of water on the domestic grid, and the recovery rate for domestic water might just probably be, I think I read somewhere is about 0.07 cents per gallon. Isn't that an arrangement? First, what are the reasons for that ratio switch, where now the SALCOT water is being used predominantly on the domestic grid? And would such an arrangement put this authority at a severe deficit situation with regards to recovery?
Judge, the information we have is when it initially started with the desal plant, it was the demand in the industrial sector in Point Lisas was 19 million gallons. Since then, there was a decrease in demand because of the economic downturn with respect to Metal and Cemetal and those other companies going out of operation in that Point Lisas area. The demand for the industrial area was reduced. Right?
Chairman, can I come in here, please, Chairman? No. Based on that, Chairman, you asked very...
Member Roberts?
Yes, Chairman, I'm following up on your question there from the answer for Mr. Shepherd. Mr. Shepherd, sir, Metal plant closed down in 2017 or so. The Chairman is asking a question that why has the ratio changed from industrial usage, which it was the original intent, and which was profitable in that the cost paid or received by WASA could be $12 per gallon as opposed to $6 to produce it, $6.75. So WASA would make a profit on that from industrial, but would lose in the general service to citizens. So to talk about Metal in 2016, again, sir, you are mashing gas and moving out decades. And I'm confused. I need to follow carefully, please. Why are we using so much desalinated water in our national private sector residential grid?
Yeah, so Member Roberts will allow Mr. Shepherd to answer, to finish his answer. And if you would like to also ask members of his team to contribute to this answering this question. Mr. Shepherd?
I kind of forgot your question because of the disturbance. I don't know if you would like to repeat it for me, please.
Yeah, it was about the question of the ratio and having a domestic to commercial ratio that has switched around in terms of the original intent of the usage of water purchased from the SALCOT, because now we are, based on what you have said, we are 25-15 domestic to commercial.
All right. So I was saying with the downturn of companies within in the industrial area in Point Lisas, the demand reduced from the industrial area to 15 million gallons. Hence, 25 million gallons was introduced or continued in the domestic grid. There are other industries on the further end of the spectrum, and there is an increase in demand in that entire southwestern area of the country. So, in order to satisfy the demand, we kept the supply at that level. With respect to the finance, we would prefer to submit that part to you in writing.
Okay, but what you are submitting to us in writing, Mr. Shepherd, could it really, could you go back to a period of at least the past 5 years, or when that shift in the allocation ratio happened, so that this committee would be able to assess, fully the impact of this regime change with regards to purchase versus domestic and commercial. The committee would be able to assess it in a proper way and be able to look at possible recommendations. Mr. Padarat, come back to you.
Hold on. Barry, Chairman, hold on, please. On this same topic, just not to change the flow. Chairman, Mr. Shepherd, sorry for disturbing you. I humbly apologize. But you're stating that a reduction in demand in the energy sector necessitated an immediate transfer of excess capacity onto the private sector residential grid. If the residential grid was being serviced by WASA through its normal potable water reservoirs and so on, why and where would this extra 25 million gallons per day go? Why is it necessary? What is the need? I'm not understanding, because of a reduced demand in the energy sector, that you are saying that it must automatically be diverted to the residential sector. Please kindly explain that.
Yeah, Mr. Shepherd, maybe you would want to just guide the committee or enlighten the committee regarding the take or pay arrangement that you have with the Salcott. Yeah.
Okay. Chairman, I will have to review that and send that to you also in writing. I didn't review the take-up pay. I know the take-up pay arrangement. The contract was signed till 2036 in 2014 for 40 million gallons of water. So whether or not we take the water and utilize it, we still have to pay. Basically, that is what it was said. What is presently the situation is that based on development in the southwestern part of the island, we still utilize the 25 million gallons of water. The desal water goes between Point Lisas down to Labrie, parts of Labrie. So the usage is still there. And we still are in that take-or-pay arrangement till 2036, which was signed in 2014. What I know of is the times the water entered the grid, which was 2002 at 24 million, and the times when it increased in 2014. All the negotiations in the back of it, I didn't make myself or inform, and do any studies to inform myself or to inform the committee of, and I will do so in writing within 2 weeks.
Thank you, Member Shepherd. I would like to just go to before.
One second, Mr. Chair. I just heard Mr. Shepherd say something. Could you just for clarification, this contract with the Salcott to 2036 that was signed in 2014, what type of due diligence or would have been done in signing a contract to 2036 for 40 million gallons of water a day. What was the need assessment done in relation to that? Like, why would you sign a contract for so long, especially a take or pay contract that has us bogged down for so long? Because from what you're saying is that demand dropped, obviously, but we still need to do something with that water that we're on the hook for till 2036. What would cause that?
Okay, remember, what I will say is the demand dropped in the Point Lisa's industrial estate, but the demand in the expansion in the southwest area also increased. So we still have used for the 40 million. The due diligence that was done with respect to the 2036 arrangement, I cannot answer that right now. I will have to do some research and get back to you on that aspect of it. But I know the contract was signed in 2014. Take a peek.
Chairman, may I please request an opportunity?
Before you do, could we just allow Mr. Shepherd to finish? He was just, I think, giving a commitment to provide some information in writing.
I would just like Mr. Shepherd to also provide who was the CEO at the time, please. I am very interested in knowing that.
All the information provided within 2 weeks. The signatories of the contract and everything with it.
Mr. Chairman, please, for the record, because of your ruling, Mr. Chairman, please, and you're allowing the discussion to go somewhere, totally ignoring the fact that Mr. Shepherd, due to his lack of research, lack of bringing information, there was a contract that preceded 2014, sir, that was signed on January 19, 2010, and it made WASA take or pay 60 million gallons per day. That contract was renegotiated and decreased to 40 million gallons per day in 2014. So please don't allow other members to try to change the record of the facts here. Please, sir.
Well, it's a question of changing it. Yes.
Chairman, if I may, and it has to do with the last comment that was made by Mr. Shepherd, but also my last question on this issue. You see, Mr. Chairman, seeing that Mr. Shepherd claims ignorance of the 2010 contract that was signed till 2034, that was renegotiated in 2014, I want to ask Mr. Shepherd whether he's aware that there was an escalating clause in the 2010 contract that was signed off by the 2009 Manning administration for up to 2034 with an escalating clause, which meant that the Salcott company could come and tell you they want $1 today and then come and tell you they want $2 tomorrow for the same amount of water. So if the member does not have a copy of that cabinet note and that contract, we will supply him with such. But it seems that the member is cherry picking and focusing on 2014, fully well knowing that the contract was signed in 2010 up to 2034 with an escalating clause in that contract and an option to buy out the Salcott. So my question is two-pronged. One, is WASA going to buy out the Salcott as it is contained in the subcommittee report as an option? Has that been a recommendation? And whether or not the member is aware that the escalating clause of paying $1 today and $100 tomorrow by WASA was taken out in 2014 because of the ridiculous conditions that was signed on in 2010 to up to 2034 committed by a cabinet in 2009 under Patrick Manning and the PNM.
Right. Padara, the officials who are before us here today would not be able to answer your questions about buyout of the Salcott. But I'm not going to pose that. I'm not going to pose that question to them because they would not be in a position to
management of the committee,
but
the management of WASA must be able to tell us what are they recommending, what are citizens of this country paying them thousands of dollars to do, to sit down and twiddle their thumbs why they don't get water. I'm simply asking whether or not this is a consideration and it is contained in the cabinet subcommittee report. I'm not asking something that is not contained in the report. I cannot help it if Mr. Shepherd comes to a meeting and did not have the courtesy to read the report that has been in the parliament for over 1 year.
Mr. Chair,
I'm asking on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago whether or not it is a recommendation of WASA to exercise.
Member Padarat, and if members, I urge members to please let us refocus on the purpose of this hearing here today. Mr. Shepherd?
Mr. Chairman, please.
No.
Please, because
Member Roberts, I've said please, I'm not going to make any more.
You're shouting. You are shouting at me, but the point of the matter is, sir, with all due respect, the division came and the separation came from the initial answer of Mr. Shepherd, where he eliminated an entire contract and a period. So what you should do, rather than shouting at us, is just leave that topic for Mr. Shepherd to provide a total answer from 1999 to present in 2 weeks. So therefore, I don't mind you taking control.
Member Roberts, please. Member Roberts, please. Member Roberts, I'm not shouting. To reserve that discussion for when the committee have our internal meeting. Yes, Member Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought you couldn't see my hand. My hand kind of small. I have not asked one question about any transformation as yet. So let me move on to my normal questioning. To Mr. Shepherd, the CEO of WASA. Could you kindly tell me what is WASA's monthly production of potable water, including the 750 million gallons of desalinated water purchased from the Salcott?
Here, good day.
Yeah,
I will speak that for the Director of Operations to answer, Ms. Shara Ali.
Sure, Chair. Member, thank you for your question. At present, the production is at 240 imperial gallons.
You were breaking up a bit, ma'am. 240 what? Imperial?
Gallons per day.
Could you, just for my calculation, because I have some numbers on months, could you calculate that, extrapolate it out average per month, please?
Through the Chair, this averages for a 31-day monthly period of 7440 imperial million gallons per month.
7440 million imperial gallons. Could you explain to the population the difference between imperial gallons and regular gallons so that they know what we're talking about?
Imperial million gallons is a unit of volume measurement. The other is at US gallons. It can either be US gallons or imperial gallons.
Thank you very much. And what is the average monthly quantity of water required to adequately serve our citizens?
Do you have that information readily available, Ms. Ali?
Chair, we are currently working that figure to provide to the member.
Thank you, Chairman. It's not that my hand is up. I was in the process of questioning before you and other members jumped in, so you forgot about me. So let me go back to my initial question.
I would never forget. I would never forget about you, Member Roberts.
So let me go quickly so I can get the answers. I thought my questions were very simple. Let me go back to my learned colleague at WASA, who was telling me how much water WASA produces per month, and I believe I got it at 7.44 billion imperial gallons per month, including the 750 million gallons purchased from the Salcott. And then I was asking how much water does WASA require to adequately meet the population's needs per month?
Yeah, Mr. Shepherd, do you all have that information ready now?
Chair, no, we don't have that information right now. We would like to forward that also in writing.
Okay, remember that we are asking that all information be provided by 29th of March before we have our second hearing.
Yes,
so,
let me also ask Mr. Shepherd, how much potable water is lost through leakage in WASA's distribution network per month?
Chair, to you, remember, we don't have measuring devices to give you an accurate answer to that, but we have had reports of estimated amounts by consultants between 40 to 50% of the water we produce. But to have an accurate answer to that, we don't have an accurate answer at this point.
Okay.
And 40 to 50% is lost when trying to distribute. Approximately how many known leaks exist in WASA's national distribution network as we speak, please?
But defer that to the Director of Operations, through you, Chair.
Please.
Chair, the current leak backlog stands at 3,161.
And can you kindly extrapolate that? Those are known leaks, and you will have some unknown or invisible leaks. What sort of analysis or what sort of number can you give us to estimate the total number of leaks, including those known and those unknown?
Chair?
Yeah, please.
Yes. The leaks that I have mentioned, the quantities are the ones that we have seen visually, we know of and have determined through our monitoring of the areas and the zones. I cannot extrapolate into the unknown in terms of leaks that are not seen at this time.
And final question from Mr. Shepherd. So if we are losing 40 to 50 to 55% of potable water per month, why is it a plan of WASA to increase supply rather than fix the distribution network? It appears that the supply is fantastic, but that the distribution throws away 50%. So what you need to do is stop throwing away the 50%, and then the supply will be satisfactory.
Member, to you, Chair, member, as I said, that was estimated by consultants. But there is a plan of it to repair the leaks and break down. But personally, through my 34 years of experience in this company, not as the other member said, I don't believe that repairing all the leaks will satisfy the demand, the growing demand for water in this country.
What is finally, what is the percentage, sir, right now of the population receiving a 24/7 supply in their homes from WASA?
So if that question, the Director of Operations.
Through Chair, the percentage of the population currently receiving 24/7 level of service is at 16%.
At 16%. What was the highest percentage ever attained by WASA in this percentage 24/7 supply? Was it in 2014 74%?
Okay, Member Roberts, your question is taking back, I think the WASA team back to a period of 2014. So,
I'm sorry for asking questions. Sorry,
please
sorry.
let me finish.